Paul Redmond.
Sorry, Joe Clifford.
So, I won't name the cafe we're sitting in.
Right.
They're not sponsoring us, Paul.
No, you could give us a plate.
But you can see it over here. Yeah, free bottle of water or something. Yeah, we'll see what happens. So how you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Just finished training around the gym. The lads, team Rhino. There's the coach, Andy.
I know.
Off centre.
Look, a digital system here for Zoom. So how's training going?
Yeah, just starting to pick things up now this week, leading into camp. We're not in camp yet, so in camp starts in about 2 or 3 weeks. We're about 11 weeks out today. I just finished up college there last week. I was away in London there the week before, or vice versa. So just back at it now this week, you know.
Hard when you're out for a period of time to come back again to camp. The grind.
The camps aren't. Like camps are always tough anyway. You know, you're beating your body up, and then you cut weight down on top of it. They're always tough regardless. The thing that annoys me the most is when you're out not fighting in so long a period. So you say this is only my second fight. Yeah, inactivity annoys me a little bit. Like three is nice to get in a year. You know, we're not beating our body up too much. I've done 7 in a year before. It's a little bit too much. But 2 we're only getting in this year. It looks like maybe 3 if one comes off the back of it. So we'll see what happens after this. You know.
What's your weight cut like?
This one at the moment I'm probably about 2 kilos heavier than I should be. But I'd say in the 3 weeks time, by the time we start camp, we'll be fine going into it. You know.
So total amount of body weight you're gonna lose?
About 10 kilos.
10 kilos, yeah. Massive.
Well, it's in body fat we're losing about 5, and then we probably do 5 water.
Right.
So we do try and get that as low as possible. My last 2 cuts have been 5. The ones before that would be usually about 4 kilos of water. So we'll try to get as low as possible, you know.
So tell me something. You know, reconstructing your career after the UFC, not a whole lot of fighters make it back in the sense that, well, crash and burn, really.
Yeah.
Feels like you just came off the end of a conveyor belt.
Yeah. And I know the scenario that you're talking about. I've seen some guys come out of the UFC, and then basically what that usually is, it's a stepping stone for other lads to get into the UFC or to get like that. So you will come out, people will say, oh, we're fighting this ex-UFC guy. That's their way to get in, or to get a higher profile for themselves. So when we came out of the UFC, I hadn't fought. By the time my last fight in the UFC to the fight again in Bama, it was about between 14 and 16 months in around.
A long time.
Yeah, nearly, year and a half, 2 years. We're fighting a good guy, Chris Stringer. So we put in a 10-week camp for that, because we knew Chris was around a long time and at quite high level. So, but I think when you're fighting a good guy and Chris had already fought top level guys all right the way through. He was one of the first ones to fight an ex-UFC guy in Rich Clemente up north, and he's a ton of fights as well. So when you're fighting a good guy like that, it gives you an incentive. Not that I don't ever train hard, or not that I don't ever put the work in, but it gives you an incentive to maybe start your diet a little week before,
okay,
or do a little bit longer in the runs.
But just get back to you finished with the UFC. It took you 14 months to get back in the arena. The 14 months, the inactivity wasn't really down to you wanting that time off. It was more restructuring the direction in which you were going or something.
There was a process that happened in Ireland. So I got let go officially from the UFC in December. And Bama were here. They were having a show in March or April, I think it was. And the show happened here. A guy unfortunately lost his life, Joe Cavallo. After that then, basically MMA stopped in Ireland. There was no shows, there was no anything really. There was a procedure of what needed to be put in place for safety standards then. So then the first show back in Ireland after that show that happened was Bama in October. So we were scheduled to fight in March. It would have been only maybe 8 or 9 months after the UFC, which isn't that long. But because that happened then on the show, it meant the whole lot got set back to October that year, which then unfortunately put it back 15 months.
So since you got back on your feet again.
Yeah.
You're out there grafting. You have signed with KSW in the past, and now you're with Bellator.
Yeah.
So there's life after the UFC.
Yeah, you don't think at the time when you're sort of when you do get the text or the call to say that you've been sort of cut from the UFC, you do think, you know, what's the point, or is there a point in doing it anymore? Because that is, in your own eyes, the pinnacle of the sport. It's in a lot of guys and fighters coming through.
Yeah, it's a premiership.
Yeah, of course.
It's a premiership.
Like I said, the premiership is only one avenue, and there's the La Liga, and then there's other leagues out there as well that can compete with them. So with BAM, it was just about getting back competing essentially. They weren't paying anywhere as near as what the UFC was. So.
And you were a full-time athlete at the time.
Yes.
So every penny that you earned came from fighting.
So when BAM is what I was earning for BAM was, we'd say, pittance. You know, we got an opportunity with KSW. They came here. Money was a little bit better for them. We signed a contract with them. Then something came up with Bellator. I asked KSW for a release. They were more than happy to oblige, and I explained the situation. I says, look, I have an opportunity to make a little bit more money, and the guys at KSW couldn't have been nicer. They says, you know, you do what's best for you, and they gave me the release straight away. So for them, I'm really thankful for. I'm really grateful for. No, because they could have been dicks about it. They could have been like the ACB guys or stuff like that, and hold on to your contract, and you don't get the fight then for 2 years, 3 years. They let you sit out your contract, and then it's nobody gets anything out of that, you know.
So you've had ups and downs.
Ups and downs, yeah. Everyone does, you know what I mean?
Every athlete does. It's 2 key points in your career was Cage Warriors, the victory in Cage Warriors, the straight run of victories you had. And then the second was obviously the UFC.
Yeah.
The UFC. And so what are you striving for now? It looked like a natural progression. You went from Cage Warriors, you were performing really well, then to UFC, and now. See, the thing what's your goal?
Well, the thing with the Cage Warriors was great. We were fighting good guys, and Irish MMA was at an all-time high then. It was, you know, it was only the big thing was coming through then, and there was a lot of fighters going through the Cage Warriors scene. Myself, Siri, Hendred, you know, Conor Duffy, all those guys. And then everyone started getting into the UFC that way. I was the only one, unfortunately, that had to sign at a different weight class, and it's not my natural weight. Like that, I'd walk around, I'd start to get lean.
This was the UFC?
For the UFC, yeah. So I mean, I was fighting good at 70 kilos. And they gave us an opportunity at 66, we took it. Probably wasn't the best scenario, but we took it anyway. And didn't come off us. So we went back to the drawing board in at 70, starting fighting well again at 70. Had a few ups and downs at 70 kilos. So now I'm back. My last 2 fights, I'm a win and a loss. So I got a loss last year. I'm just back to winning ways in my last fight against a really, really solid opponent. Good top level European guy with Charlie Leary. So I think let's see how this one goes. We're fighting a good American now in September. So we get a good win here, and hopefully that does wonders for my career, you know. But I'm fighting well again at 70 kilos.
So what age are you now?
32.
How long more do you think you're going to fight for?
About another year or 2, I'd say. About 2 years at the very max. And the reason I say that is I don't want to be one of those guys that fights late into their 30s, 40s, just for a paycheck. You know, I'm back working now as well. For other things that I want to do. I do want to do other stuff in my life. I want to have a family, I want to do that. And I wouldn't like to commit to a family or that type of stuff while trying to be a pro athlete and working at the same time. It wouldn't work. For me, it doesn't happen. I just don't want to be in that scenario, you know what I mean? So when I'm done, that's when I'll start looking at the other thing.
Okay. Thanks for your time, Paul.
Thanks very much. Thank you.